Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tony Talks Get Up and Grow, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders, influencers, and change makers, people that aren't just doing well in life, but that are doing good in the world by contributing back to society, contributing back to humanity, to fellow businesses. And today I have the distinct pleasure, as I have for the last several weeks, on Marketing Mondays with the great Scott Martin of Groundswell Marketing.
Aloha. Thanks for having me again, buddy.
Thanks for being here, man. I'm sorry that we're a little bit late today. It was my son's 8th grade graduation. They actually did a drive-up thing through the school, and all the teachers were waving, and it was kind of cool. Yeah,
kind of cool, but kind of sad, right? Like,
yeah,
like,
oh, sad, right?
Yeah.
So we got some family in the backyard grilling up, and a little celebration for him today. So make it a little more special.
I wonder how this is affecting kids. Like, what change in culture is going to happen as a result of the kids now having this experience? And I don't think things are going back to normal right away, right? Like,
no, they're talking about having less kids in all the classes. Of course, many schools can't do that. So that's probably going to mean, I don't know that anybody knows yet what it's going to be, but it may likely be a longer school day and shifts. Like there'll be a morning shift and an afternoon shift, or it may be actually, no, I think what they're talking about is not every kid's going to have the same class every day. Like if you have English 5 days a week, now you might have it 3 days this week and 2 days next week. And while the other kids are having it 2 days this week and 3 days next week. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do. But yeah, it's a whole different experience now between Zoom and the different ways that kids are learning. So we've learned a couple of things. Everybody has a new appreciation for their teachers. I'll tell you what, teachers and kids and parents alike, actually. And there's some kids have learned that they can learn well this way, and some kids have learned that they can't. I saw a great meme today, which somebody had posted a couple of weeks ago, and it's a guy looking at this test with a frown on his face, and his son's looking at him with a frown on his face, and it said basically, reviewing the F my son got in his math homework that I helped him do. Right?
Yeah, I believe it.
Because it's Common Core and all this other crazy type of math that they're doing, I don't even know. 1 plus 1 used to equal 2. I don't know what the hell it equals anymore with Common Core. So if Johnny has 2 apples and Sally has 3 oranges, what kind of peach pie can they make? What? Or whatever the heck these crazy equations are.
My kids are out of college, so I don't have any visibility to that whatsoever, thankfully. So
yeah, you don't look like you're old enough to have kids out of college, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I do actually. My daughter just turned 21 today. It's her birthday.
Would you start when you were like 12? Well, happy birthday to your daughter.
Thanks. Yeah, no, my son's 23. So I have my kids pretty young.
Nice.
Yeah, well, single parent too.
Wow. Well, good for you for doing it and making them out of college already, both of them. So that's golden, man. Now you're on easy street.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, it's life is so different.
Yeah.
Control of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? There's a lot to enjoy now, but there's a lot to enjoy on along the way as well, which I'm finding as well. I had this weekend I got to do a river walk with my kids across the street. There's a river. A couple hundred feet away. So walking in the river, it's really cool. If you've not checked it out on actually, I think I put it on Instagram as well.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. Cool. You live like in the backwoods. It's awesome.
Backwoods in New Jersey, half hour away outside.
We're actually getting a booster, so I can be in my yard because I'm finding I'm spending so much. I'm so busy these days that it's so beautiful outside that I like to be outside and work. And I mean, just it doesn't matter where I am. It's everything's on. As long as you can hear, you're good.
Yeah, you're right. Listen, I got a Nokia Net maybe 2 months ago, so I have them in different spots of the house. So that's why last week when I was talking to you over by the beehives, and that's about 100 feet away from the house. So I was out there at the beehives, and I'm assuming that the picture came in clear because you were coming in clear. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it was a little
nice.
fuzzy to me, but whatever.
Oh, so that's okay. Maybe I need to next time. I'll move it.
The recording, that's all that matters, right? So
yeah. Well, next time I'll move one of the boosters outside, so there's no interference from the house. So, but yeah, so it's the Nokia Net. So you can, if I find the link, I'll send it to you. Matter of fact, I have
help me because I'm in Canada, so we have TELUS. I have my own provider that we have some boosters that we just get. So.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
Good.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Well, this is just attaches. It's not from a service provider. This is a third party equipment. So you'd attach it to whatever your existing router is, and it just expands from there. So, anyway, so today is Marketing Mondays, everyone. Who's excited about Marketing Mondays? I know Dana, Barb, and Sonia are because they're here. Tony's here. Mark is here. Scott,
Maybe
Mark.
we should open up some questions before we roll on.
So yeah, everyone, please ask questions along the way. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of a different topic: social selling.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not social selling, right? Is what we're talking about. Yeah, so social selling, which is, I guess, selling on social media and on different platforms, and how to do it and how to do it right, and maybe some of the pitfalls not to do, right? Because when there's a right way of doing it, there's certainly many wrong ways of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's social selling is its own practice. In fact, there's a guy that, and of course his name escapes me right now. He was on my podcast. He's one of the top guys in the world around social selling. He wrote a book called Smarketing, and it's really an intersection between marketing and sales. And I wrote an article about. I'll put it in the show notes. I wrote an article about this whole. You and I talked about this about 4 weeks ago. But the whole face-to-face marketing being a trend, where people using Zoom. And that's going to literally change the face of social selling. Where social selling is really, it's like human-to-human sales activation, primarily on B2B, not B2C. So I know there's a lot of people always talking about, like, by B2B means business to business. So I would say that the majority of social selling would not occur on Facebook. It was probably on LinkedIn for the most part. And the idea that you're building a relationship, sometimes multi-stakeholder relationship is what it's called. So that, for example, if you have a very complex sale, you have to maybe get your product approved by an engineer, a sales administrator, contractual person, legal. So you may want to have multiple stakeholders that you connect with to deal with their checking the boxes to get you in as a vendor if it's a bigger project or whatever, right? So this is called social selling, the whole process of being able to sell using social media.
Yeah, and you said LinkedIn, which is exactly where my mind went. Is LinkedIn is where, I'm almost afraid to accept any new connections, because every time I do, seconds later, which good for them, they're doing it, but I'm one of those guys that it's kind of annoying. Somebody asks you for a friend request, and the second you hit accept, you get an email of them trying to sell you their product.
Yeah, and I think that's not social selling. That's just like social etiquette. And I think that's probably a really interesting lesson, because a lot of people are trying to do their marketing, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, and they're trying too much for the sale. They haven't built a relationship. You're asking to go on a date and you haven't even really met. So if you're making a connection, probably one of the first rules is make it personal.
Yeah.
Meaning, don't just do a blank invite. Whether you're on Facebook, you can't. You just have to hit a friend, right? So unfortunately, like, what I like about LinkedIn is you can write a little note in there, and you should write a little note. One is to be personal, make a note. Two would be actually say why you want to connect. Like, not like, hey, I want to sell something to you. Going, hey, I'm in the marketing business, and I'd just like to connect people that may be interested in marketing, or I could learn from, or whatever, right? Like, and some people get intimidated by that. I was telling my son, he's just coming out of college, and I'm saying, look, take advantage of the fact that you're out of college. You could probably reach out to people you would never be able to get in about 4 years or 3 years.
Right.
Because they'll view you as being someone that's trying to sell them something. Yeah. Take advantage of being new and going, hey, I'm just out of school. I'm looking for a virtual mentor. I want to follow your information and your, I'm a big fan of yours. I follow you, whatever, and make a connection. You know what? They'll probably almost always connect. This is a great way to make massive connections. So people that are obviously older, not in high school, like in graduating from school, can still apply some stuff thinking like that, where but I think what people make the mistake is they do a bait and switch, meaning I'm going to connect with Simon Sinek. As soon as he connects with me at some point, I'm going to pitch him for my virtual event. I tell you that's, you're skipping over. In real life, would you be doing that? And some people go, well, you should be fearless like Tony Robbins, like just do it. I think there's a balance between going for it and put yourself on ignore. If you genuinely want to connect with him, you should also, it's called multi-stakeholder connection. You should also connect with some other people in his influence or in his group or internal to his company, and really follow the channels that they would normally go through, and still keep the connection with him, because you can reference it going, I actually connected with him on LinkedIn. I wanted to know what's the best. Like, there's different ways that you can approach it, and it doesn't mean necessarily have to slow it down. I just think it's dependent on the person. You just got to be really mindful of it.
Listen, and again, when I wasn't even thinking about it, but I said it as I said it. It's annoying. So that's like I said, hey Scott, nice meeting you. We should, connect one of these days. Oh yeah, that's right. Listen, I've got this program that I'd love to have you enroll in. Well, you wouldn't have that conversation with me like that. And I think that it's important to really have that conversation. Now, other people have done it well, so much so that I then engage. For example, and I've seen it done well, by the way, to me, because I get a lot of requests.
What about it was well?
Right. So I'm going to get into that. So the first one was kind of like, hey, Scott, what's up, man? Listen, just wanted to connect with you. I see that we have so many friends in common, and we're both in real estate. Listen, we're all going through interesting times, man. So I hope all is well with you and that business is doing well. That's it. Oh, I'd love to connect with you sometime, if we can schedule a call. That's it. A couple of days later, hey, Tony, what's up, man? Listen, connected a couple of days ago. Just wanted to reach out. Listen, so this is the business that I'm in. I'd like to connect with like-minded people. And if there's ever anything that we can do together, maybe we should have a conversation. Now it starts to get engaging, right? Because he reached out the first time. He didn't try to sell me, just introduce himself. Second time, still introduce himself. See if what he can offer, that would be of a mutual benefit to both of us. And then say, hey, let's reach out. And guess what? On the third time, I engaged. Right? Because it wasn't just, and the worst thing, as far as I'm concerned, unless somebody's signing up and they know that they're signing up to be marketed to, or because they're interested in your product. If I'm interested in your product and I hit enter and something hits my inbox, I'm like, whoa, impressive. But if I hit OK and accept Scott as a connection, and the minute I click accept, I get something in my mailbox, I open it. Hey, Scott, what's up? Listen, it's Tony. I'm just, this is the business that I'm in. If you want more information, just click the link below and we'll go through it and we'll set up a meeting, and I'll sell I'll sell you so bad you won't know what hit you. Is kind of, how you read it. So I think the social selling, we've got to really implement some of the same etiquette that you would if you met me in person. If you met me in person at a bar, again, it's good to be bold. It's good to be bold. But it's another thing to have them so big that, that without, I can't use the analogy I was going to use because it's probably not late enough in the day for it yet. But you wouldn't go into a bar, or go into a social setting and engage someone, and the first word out of your mouth, this is what I sell. Would you like to buy? You'd engage. Hey, so what do you do? So-and-so. Yeah, I know Scott Martin, of course. Yeah, listen, we have mutual friends. He's brilliant. He's into the surf art, and I'm into surf art, and he's always wearing that.
What you described right now is different than what you described to me. What you described to me was he's getting some success, but he's following a formula. And I don't necessarily think that that's what I'm even prescribing at all. In fact, although that was good, it was different. It was more paced, but that actually isn't what I would consider the next practice. The next practice involves social listening. Social listening is actually engaging with the feed that the person has. Like, comment, on articles or posts, genuinely follow them. When you do a follow-up and you go, hey, I've been following you for a couple months or weeks, and I see you made this great post on personalization. I do personalization. If you ever want to chat, I'd love to connect or whatever. Like, to me, whenever you apply listening, that's when you actually get a better result, because right now, when people, there's so many people asking for invites. I think I'm at about 9,000 or something, right? And what I've done is I've actually got a script, and I've got it in my notes. I can pull it up. It says something to the fact that right now I'm looking for meaningful engagement and connections. And if we've met before and I've never, and I don't, just remind me where we met. It's totally great that you can want to connect with me, even if you know me or you don't. All I want to say is that I'm really looking for meaningful connections. It would mean a lot to me if you had spent some time listening to my podcast and let me know what you think of it. That would give you some context on where we can proceed and make a meaningful contact. What I've done there is I've pushed back on people who are just putting the click button.
Yeah. 2,
I'm letting them know the standard by which that I'm now looking at engagement, right? 3, I'm activating content, and if they're willing to spend time and do that, and they go, hey, Scott really stuff, I'm happy to let them. Otherwise, they can just follow me. They don't need to connect with me, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a great distinction, because the guy that I connected to had actually been liking and commenting on my posts. You're right. I didn't even think about that just now.
Nothing is more meaningful to somebody when you recognize it, don't you? When Tony talks, when people like stuff, they share, they're active in it, and when they want to make a connection with you, you give them the time of day. The people that are on your commenting, they're consistently on here. We both have a lot of time of day for them because they're consistently making an effort engaging with us, and it's really important. It adds a lot of value. So when you want to really got a complex sale, or you're really trying to get hard to reach individuals, there's some other techniques that you can do. I hate to call them growth hacks or hacks, but I can show you. I could probably walk through some. Maybe that's what we'll do. I did not plan on doing this. Once again, I'm just going to wing it, but I could show you guys some shortcuts, because I've done a course called on social selling on LinkedIn. I could probably pull up my old slides. Some of them might not be relevant because things have changed since I've done it, but it might give everyone a little bit of some structure on how do you actually organize and systematically try to build relationships that are meaningful on LinkedIn. Because I believe that there's a lot of people who are just posting stuff on Facebook, and they're trying to get communities. And I keep hearing, because I've had lots of contacts lately of people really frustrated with the lack of result. It's because it's not really the place maybe to sell that. It also, maybe it's oversaturated. The algorithm is against you. There's a whole bunch of different reasons. And not that Facebook's bad, it is, but it's like maybe it's not the right place. But LinkedIn can be a little different. And it might change. Whatever I say today could change tomorrow in terms of the algorithm and the process. But do you want me to go ahead and show a couple of things?
Yeah, no, that's great, because Sonia asked, what are some of the ways to increase social selling on LinkedIn? So people are chiming in, and Danielle Hicks says, I'm just following you guys to get a lot of value. Anne Marie agrees with that. Appreciate the approach of setting the standard, leaves the person with choice and how to proceed with engagement. Yes, the answer is yes. It would be great to see that. And it is so important. And to your point, what you were saying, there's so many people are now posting things on Facebook and saying, oh, I have fresh new content. And you listen to them, and they're basically bastardizing something that Brendan Burchard is teaching, or more often what Tony Robbins is teaching, because they went to an event, 6 Human Needs. I've heard that thing, bastardized, and they try to do it different ways, and like it's their content. I'm like, dude, this is not your content. It might not even be Tony Robbins content, but it's certainly not your content. You heard it, you're regurgitating it, and you're getting it wrong because they don't really understand it themselves. So that's kind of the
I
funny
think that's actually a really interesting point. So, it's like I'm just getting my I actually found the slide deck. I'll brief through stuff that isn't relevant anymore. But what you're bringing up there is, I think that the age of attention is over. The age of trust has begun, and people trust people that are actually creating source original content that's meaningful, helpful, and distinctly making a difference or niching. People don't. I think that's one thing people think. They go, "Oh my God, I got to be the number one person in the world for this or that." I think if they think more like they could just, if they went really narrow and niche with their content and really mastered it, people really love that. And as opposed to like quotes of the day, like I'm going to post quote. I get that, it's like, hey, it's inspirational stuff. But how many quotes of the day do you want to see in your feed? And you're going, I've seen it. I saw that one like 2 days ago. Like, it's getting to the point now where people are just doing it like a formula, thinking that that's creating some level of memory. And so why don't you create your own quotes, meaning from your own voice? I believe this whole age of trust is built on a foundation of authenticity, on a foundation of originality and source information, meaning people are going to have to start putting themselves out there and pushing forward, or else if you're just a curator, then embrace being a curator and call it curation. Don't pass it off as your own, because then you're a charlatan, right?
And I think that the always, and you see my posts whenever possible. If I know who the originator is, I quote them, and if I don't, I just don't put anything. I don't put my name to it, because some coach you look up and like there's 4 or 5 different people that lay claim to it, so I just don't put anything. And I have created a few of my own, which is kind of cool along the way. But I think you're right. There's so many people out there that they're saying that they're creating new content, like I said, and that's really the most frustrating thing. They say creating new content. I'm like, oh, cool. Let's see what they say. You click, and I'm like, really? That's just not even right to do that. Again, you hear me. You've heard my shows. I say, Tony Robbins says, or my, Brendan Burchard or whoever I heard it from whenever possible. So whoever's out there listening, if it's content that you heard from somewhere before, share where you heard it, share where you learned it. People are going to appreciate the fact that you're acknowledging the creator, or who you believe at least to be the creator. If it's yours, by all means claim it. But if it's not, and it's hard, by the way, it's hard to
there's a way there's a way to borrow and collaborate with other people to make original content. I just did it with Master Co. I went, Master Co., would you be interested in doing a meditation that's 10 minutes just for entrepreneurs to spark their creativity and imagination? So that was my idea. We talked about it on Zoom. He did the meditation. I packaged it up. I'm about to make it into a podcast. I put it on YouTube. It totally trended. Totally collaborated on it. I didn't actually do a lot. It was my idea, but he delivered it. I gave him the credit. It wasn't my mastermind. It's all Master Co's, right? I did a podcast with Joe Pine. I got an article sitting right on my LinkedIn right now. I'm looking at it about customery. It's his concept, but I embraced it, talked about the podcast, and editorialized it. It's when you editorialize stuff on top of it that creates the value. So people that are trying to showcase their genius or their unique point of difference, one way to also is to build on. So don't feel free to share that quote, but maybe share why is that meaningful to you, or how this could impact based on my way of doing business. This is how I apply this. So those are different ways that I think people are really asking that. And why that comes up for me is I post on my marketer.eco on Facebook group. I post every day or two. I post really interesting creative. I scour the internet. I follow Ad Age and all the different ad creatives and stuff. And whenever I find a really freaking amazing creative, I can show you guys actually if you want. When I find a really amazing creative, I go, oh my gosh, and then I make a comment about it, going, this is brilliant, this is simple, or this was great, but doesn't work for this. And I actually posted on Sunday a group of them to put an album. And I always write my comments on it, but there were ones I did in the past, and I just put them up in an album. I got a text message going, dude, you have to edit. I look forward to your comments. So it made me feel like it made me feel like people are really paying attention and they notice. So to me, that's just another indication that, maybe putting a little more energy and thought into creating that, but also more meaning in terms of, if we're talking about social selling, how does that fit into what you're trying to espouse, sell, or influence? If it's just for fun, I'm not talking about that. I am not the personal do whatever you want consultant. I'm like business entrepreneur. You want to move the needle, you want to make sales. So that's Just keep that under the sort of like the umbrella of that. Because anybody wants to do anything on their social feed, I don't care. I'm not even trying to, no judgment. You can do whatever you want. But if you're trying to create a feed that's going to make a difference, and I think that blend sometimes for people is they get a little mixed up. They're like somewhere between, is this my business feed or my personal feed? I do it, but it's like you really got to figure out what that is. Where it really becomes clear is on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn, people that are trying to pop on there with a little bit too much like, hey, this is me on the weekend. I don't think it gets rejected, more or less, right? Like you really want to create sort of that balance. You want to have some personality, and I put that in there too. It's just you definitely want to have a more professional face, and
you want to add value. Absolutely. Again, if you have a great quote, by all means, use it, and then saying, this is what it means to me. This is how it affected my mindset this morning when I read it, or this is how I apply it in my life. I agree with that. The editorializing, I never thought about that being what it is. But yeah, you editorialize the quote, the comment, the picture, whatever it is. So awesome.
So do you want me to share a screen and I'll just try to wing this?
Yep.
Once again, this was like
these are the best.
It's like okay. So tell me when I'm live.
Yep, we're popping it up now. Here we go. You're live.
Am I live? Okay. So we're not doing this whole program. This is one of my courses. So I'm just going to kind of skim a couple things, and then maybe show my LinkedIn and kind of point out. I'll probably give like 5 main points on the LinkedIn on things that you can do that will totally change. And if you're not already doing it, the way that you're looking at that. So the idea is, the goal is to share with you my Groundswell program of how you can leverage and increase value with your follow-ups and prospects. So this was meant for people that are trying to use LinkedIn for sales, right? And so social selling is about bringing value to prospects first. It really is. So it's like, if you can, and that starts with social listening. If you're listening to what people are wanting and you go find or tag them or source, don't tag people for tagging's sake. Go, hey, I noticed you're looking at, personalization. Here's a personalization article. People appreciate that. It shows that you're listening. So, it's about social selling as a network to research and build relationships that build value. So it's sort of like we used to make cold calls, you qualify your leads, you do sales demos, that was what's there. Now it's like social sales is you educate, you post stuff about educating, you listen on social networks, you comment, like, and share, and then you engage with conversation and that asking questions and so forth. So, and really what it is I think what's really important is let people, the top buyers, in a lot of the research that I've seen, some of this is a little bit older, are all using it to make buying decisions. Like they're using LinkedIn for buying decisions. They actually will go there, look at your LinkedIn as much as your own site, because they'll look at who's the staff, who are the engineers, if it's software or whatever, right? So they do their research. So people are actually using it for research, and people are using social media. So this is part of the evolution of sales. People are now shifting and becoming, they don't want to be sold to, they're buyers. So they're influenced by social media because they're looking for buying decisions that are made up online that they can find. That includes people's comments, likes, dislikes, and reviews in an honest way, right? So when looking at, so this is an interesting one. It was like, what LinkedIn fish do you use most for purchasing decision? Researched vendors by looking at their profiles. So anybody here who has got staff, even if you're a 2-person shop or you're a bunch of you guys are, like this, you're consultants, pay attention to like how you could kind of create a bigger visibility with bringing people under a profile that are like either, under contract or employed by you. It makes a difference, especially when all the profiles are together. And then there's this one, executive value of social media. You look at this and people are looking at LinkedIn by the numbers, having a branded blog, your LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and then LinkedIn groups, extremely valuable. I actually think I've got a couple LinkedIn groups. They're not as active now, and I think it's gold because I think it will be in the future. And the nice thing about groups is you can set up a group, and I'll show you one. You can set up a group. You can invite people in your own network, but it becomes open if you want to get people under a topic. So it's really good if, say, for me, I have a topic called marketer. It's great because I can message every single one, even if I'm not connected to them, because I'm managing the group. So social selling. I'm not going to do the Instagram strategy.
By the way, I didn't know about the LinkedIn groups. By the way, just saying, I've started seeing them, but I didn't know how those were come into play. Obviously, if you have my Facebook and that sort of thing, so
yeah.
I got to look into that. Good tip.
So here's a quick summary of your LinkedIn strategy, right? Build a profile. Number one, connect to social. So I'll show you where to go. There's like, make sure you connect your Twitter and your website. Some people just miss those little things. And that's where people go to actually connect with you. Publish content, connect to people in a friendly way, like the people that are friendly to you, inbound and outbound, and recommend and be recommended. So one of the ways I'll show you is, one of the ways to kind of make a deeper connection with someone that you've done business with is, instead of asking for a recommendation, preemptively go and give them a recommendation.
Yeah.
Give someone else a recommendation. Sometimes they come back and they go, "Can I get your recommendation?" That's a great way to having, and those recommendations, once they give them back to you on LinkedIn, you can copy and paste those and use them in other places. I've got some stealth growth hacker connecting techniques. I'll show you one. We don't have time to do many. And then the idea of give before you get is critical. Give by liking, give by sharing, give by commenting, give by adding value, but don't be trying to take and connect and just try to sell. Okay?
Love it.
Make sure your profile is set up with your URL, your photo, link to your company page with description. And that's really important because I think a lot of people don't realize that you can customize your URL. I'll show you in a sec. You can get a banner above your name if it's premium, and then match your Twitter account to match your profile. So you'll see my example here. So that's my LinkedIn profile, linkedin.com in Scott Adam Martin. My Twitter is at Scott Adam Martin, so it becomes congruent when they see it in there. It's the same, right? My photo and then the banner is because I've got the premium account. That makes sense.
Yep.
So,
by the way, obviously you recommend the premium account if you're doing this for business, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's because you can see who's looking at you, and I got a technique for what you can do with that. We don't have much time, so I'm going to just show a couple of quick things. I'll go right to it.
Sure.
So
yeah, we can.
This is the link that shows. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we can queue up some questions from the people that are here for next Monday. We can come back and touch on this for a bit and just ask some questions. If anybody's got questions here, we'll field them later.
Sure. I'll just show the top 4 things, and then we'll move on. One is your public profile. If you don't know, there's a little pen. Click on it. You can actually personalize it. That public profile. Right now, if you just generate it, it says 112415. Get the name and make it the name that you want to be found and seen by. The most important thing is having a strong summary at the top that people are searching for, because those are searchable. And the first 2 lines are everything that matters. Nothing else matters. Although that 2 lines is probably the most critical thing that people read, and then before they'll even click see more. So many people don't even think of that intro. They just write this beautiful letter, but the first 2 sentences are warm up. Those first 2 sentences have to make sense. So my buddy Ernest, he's incredible. You know, he has his strategy I really want to identify, because he has a beautiful banner. He uses his third party. I should probably do it because I've been published in lots of magazines. He uses where he's been published, so it kind of shows some credibility. He has a really strong summary right at the top there, like what he is: digital marketing strategist, educator, keynote speaker. And then his intro is welcoming. Hi, I'm Ernest. Like, it's basically really making it personal. I love that. It makes it incredible. And then have a clear summary, call to action, adding supporting visual content. So under your summary, you can add visuals there that help people kind of like, oh, I see what you do. And it kind of supports the brand, if you will. And then you can manage your profile. And this is where you add social channels. If you can see the arrows there, you manage it by clicking on those little pens. And that's actually how you manage the profile. So, I know this might be basic for some people, but some people don't know, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can use images and videos to augment your resume and your backgrounds. So when you're adding your company information, and you just click on features and upload there, and it shares the profile. So one of the things that is a little hack, don't overdo this. So, I mean, I reluctantly share hacks because then it's just people just run away with them. But here's a hack. If you have a large network, or you basically have it, you want to be able to get everybody to remember you because you got something big coming up in a couple days, just make one small change to your profile click yes to share profile changes and save. You can just change the period to an explanation if you want it. It doesn't matter what it is. What happens is your whole database gets a notice that something different has happened on your profile. So don't overdo it, because
Right.
people be like, what the fuck, right? So anyways, I mentioned before, ask for recommendations. So you can actually click on recommend or ask a recommendation. A lot of people request recommendation. Well, what you should do is you should actually recommend them. But if you're going to ask for recommendation, I have a hack. So what you want to do is you can actually fill out and create and help them along with the recommendation about what you want. Because maybe sometimes people have time to write it out. So if you want to help them, go, hey, I can take a stab at it and I'll be able to send it to you. It's a great way to be able to do that. And it goes through this process where it goes, were your partners managed and so forth. So my pro tip was pre-email first, meaning don't just send the invite through there. Send a personal invite going, hey, man, I was looking for getting your recommendation. Would you want me to take a stab at it, or do you want to just write it if you're okay with it? But what I'd first do is ask going, would you be willing to do it? Yes. Then go, do you want me to take a stab at it? Yes or no? If there's no, then great, they'll just do it. If it's yes, I'll send it to you. And then send using the LinkedIn tool that I just showed you. And that's like, just send it over to them. So I won't go into, there's a whole freaking 3 hours of other stuff in there. I'll just close this and show the LinkedIn account. I got way too much research on my desktop. Sorry, guys.
Here's a great thing. Here's a great question for you. If somebody wants to take that course, take that program, where can they find that? Because I think that's brilliant, and people need that, because there's a lot of people talking about here. Let me just bring us. Are you going to continue to share your screen? Or
I'm still sharing it. Yeah.
Okay, so I was just going to bring us up. I'm just bring us up for a sec, because there's so many people that are out there looking that are trying, have different programs for marketing and LinkedIn and everything else. And I think one of the funniest ones, I think I may have mentioned this to you before, is a guy that posts on Facebook all the time, have great success on LinkedIn without ads, like Facebook ads in it, but the guy's blowing up Facebook with Facebook ads about his program. So I think that if you've got something that can teach people how to do it right and ethically, and like what I love about you, Scott, is that you call it like it is, and you it's a different kind of conversation. We started this from the very beginning. You have a different eye and a different mind for marketing that is outside the box, and hopefully, and I think you are ahead of the curve in it. So if you've got a program, I'd love to share it with the listeners.
I do. I mean, I've done that course. I've done that. It's a 3-day course. I've done it multiple times, but I have to update it. So, it's one of my things is to launch my Groundswell Academy. That would be a course. I mean, if you feel like it would be something that would gain really good traction right now, then maybe I'd jump more at it and pull it together, because I know this stuff backwards and forwards. Like I've growth hacked every channel you can imagine, and I've all done it ethically without ads. And I've done it through a deliberate execution consistently every day. And I've immersed myself in basically the reason I'm able to say I've worked in ecosystem is I've done the Tony Robbins immersion, meaning I pick one channel and I go deep, and I just figure it out. I do full immersion. I do everything. I figure out every feature. I try to read everything there is. I just go deep with it. And then once I've mastered it, I move to the next one. And I still play in it but I still have, at that point, I've got a really deep understanding, and I've never kind of went wide. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn everything about social media. Always gone one at a time, mastered, and moved on. Right. So with LinkedIn, I was like doing LinkedIn sales, and I was doing courses teaching other guys sales. I showed one guy growth hacking on LinkedIn, my course, and he sold $1 million, and he did it in a month. And the guy would still, his name's David Cree. He would totally come on and tell you that because of that my approach that he had never seen before. And it was like he was spending all this time in marketing and money. And if he had just gone one-to-one and been deliberate, building relationships in this manner, he totally crushed all the marketing automation. Like, I mean, I know this is crazy. Coming from a guy that's in marketing and digital, I'm trying to explain to everybody, like, the marketing automation is like, there's a time and a place for it. and people jump to it so quickly because they feel like I just need to get this machine pumping leads to me. How about build one lead one day at a time? What if you had 30 relationships that were quality in 1 month? What would that do for your business? I think most of the people on here aren't dealing with the type of brands that should be doing automation, like a company that's doing $100 million a year or $50 million a year. They have a team. They have maybe they're selling, they have an e-commerce basket. There's a time and a place for it, and I've done all that stuff. Majority of people that I see are solo entrepreneurs or, under $20 million. I think under $20 million, you need to be totally all over this in a different way now.
Yeah. So listen, to your point or to your question, I think that it is absolutely the ideal time to do this because you got 40 million people unemployed, or maybe that number's shifted a little bit, but you have so many people that are shifting in their careers that are looking for things, looking for new opportunities. I think now is the perfect time. LinkedIn, and I think we've had this conversation before. LinkedIn is slowly, it's that prince that would be king, right? And I think it's slowly getting stronger and stronger, more viable, and have a stronger reach, and more people are going to it because it isn't as full with BS as some of the other channels are getting, right?
But it's changed in even a matter of 6 months because everyone's talking about it now, and people are it's almost getting, it's crowded. All the channels are crowded. So you really but you know what? Quality and sort of like, I call it sort of common sense is not so common, and just applying that, you can really stand out and create a reputation. Like, have a reputation where people are looking forward to the shit that you post.
Yeah.
What would you do if you knew what people really thought of your posts? I bet you half the people would stop fucking posting the garbage that they post. I overpost, and I don't think I post that much, but
I think I may overpost, but that's going to be a question. I'm going to go on. I'm going to make that question. How many people think I overpost? Actually, if for those of you who are on here, many of you.
If you want it to be valid, though, you'd have to do it where people can be anonymous.
How do I do that?
Set up a type form.
Pardon, je ne comprends pas. Yeah, I didn't understand.
So maybe that'll be another topic of a day. I'll show you.
Yeah, because
when to do open surveys, when to do closed surveys. There's different when to survey your customers, how you can benefit from it. There's basically a podcast episode that I did with a revenue coach, top revenue coach in the world out of Silicon Valley, Kristen, and she's on my podcast 2 episodes ago, and she talks about exactly the process.
I'm going to go back and listen to that because I didn't even know that you can do that on social media. You can do that, an anonymous poll.
Yeah, so you'd embed another survey from somewhere else. Allow people to be anonymous.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that because I'm curious.
You can do it on I think Twitter lets you do an anonymous one. You can't. It's like only a 2-question poll on stories. So we could do how to use stories on one versus the other or whatever. Because there's also, you can ask questions, and then sometimes if you know who they are, that can be an advantage because you can go, who right now really needs help with LinkedIn? I could do a survey right now, and the 20 people that said yes versus that said no, I might DM them and go, hey, well, if you want me to put a course together, would you be able to do it? Like, that might be a great segue to being relevant. You're listening, you're answering. Like, that's a different way of selling than going, hey, do you want to do a LinkedIn? So what I've found that's really working, for example, like we're in a Plaid community, as you know, is I've been asked, I think I'm doing like my 5th or 6th one now, where someone asked me, going, Scott, I need some help with this, right? One of them is actually podcasting. I just want to get a podcast up right away. And for months and over a year, I've been doing these free 1-hour intensive, just helping them, just because I want to help people. And I stopped. I said, listen, if you want me to do it, because I realized how much value I'm giving and intense it is, when you get 10 people on a Zoom, I'll do a webinar. So that way I'm actually helping 10 people. But I'm not charging for it. I'm not making a lead funnel. I'm doing it as service. I literally, like, you hear what I said? Like, most people are like, well, are you getting their emails? Yeah, I'm getting their emails. Someone actually commented, he goes, what the hell are you doing? You did this webinar, you got our email, but you didn't even email me once other than they'll give you the information. I sent them a personal voicemail saying, hey, I'm looking forward to, next time I'll show you my process of what I did, but I'll explain it real quick, was I got someone else to actually post to the group and go, Scott's doing a webinar. He'll be willing to do it if we get minimum 10 people, up to 20. First people that sign up can do it. So I didn't do it. It means so much more when someone else goes, hey, Scott's going to do this, than I did it, right? Lesson 1, right? Build with reputation. 2, when they did that, I made sure I invite, delight, rewarded. They were invited. When they subscribed, every one of them that they came in, instead of sending them just the registration, I actually personalized an audio voicemail to every single person. Said, hey, Jane, super excited about this. By the way, fill out the survey because I want to make sure that my webinar meets your personal needs. So I basically re-edified in the body of my email by voicemail, personal to her, to fill it out. So they all filled out the webinar or filled out the questionnaire. Well, the questionnaire, I was trying to understand what people's level was at, what were they most interested in, right? And it gave me a whole bunch of amazing insights. I have time. I can share what that looks like if you want.
Yeah, if you have time, I know you've got 6 minutes. You've got to be on another call, so I don't know if you want to parlay this to the next time. But yeah, let me.
I have a quick time. I can do it. So this is my time.
I literally had that conversation with a group that I'm in yesterday. I said, listen, I love coming on and sharing with you guys, but we need to have a few more people on. So yeah, I resonate completely with that.
Yeah. So I'm, I have a couple of locked in processes now that are incredibly user friendly. They're quick for people to do. But most important thing is people do stuff, and then what they do is they get the injunction and people don't see the value in it. If you're going to ask people to do something with it. So I tailored my presentation based on it, and I'm trying to open it up. One sec here. And more importantly, I actually shared the summary of some of the findings with the group. Right?
That's great.
Currently, I feel how I'm doing in marketing shows that. I'm publishing. This lets me know, okay, we're Facebook, Instagram heavy. Next is LinkedIn, right? Then YouTube. I'm most challenged with, right? Getting attention, strategically using, getting shares. This allowed me to put in priority the things I want to talk first in my presentation based on this. So, and I actually told them that I did this personalized approach based on their feedback. How does that make you feel when you go, I was recommended by someone else to go see the webinar. When I was recommended, the guy himself gave me a personal invite. I got a survey that helped me understand. He connected, and also at the bottom, I actually connected with them personally. I asked for a personal contact, like their LinkedIn. I'll follow them on Instagram, whatever. And then I used that in the presentation and said, hey, thanks for your feedback. Because of your feedback, this is what we're going to talk about. That is the example of social selling. When you're actually listening, dialoguing, what happens for people? They feel like they've been heard. You know what I'm saying? So
brilliant.
That's a really quick example, like just that. Like there's so much more to it, but that basically is it. So, and people go, well, what do I do in which order? They're kind of missing the point. It's not what I did, it's how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Listen, be considerate, add massive value. I mean, sometimes I know some people are just going to hate what I'm saying. There's so many people that are going, you got to have the call to action here and it's got to be here. I'm like, if you're really fucking good and compelling, they'll contact you. I'm almost anti call to action. I'm like, I don't have a call to action problem.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Honestly, I love it. Listen, this is why I look forward to these calls, because I always get a couple of nuggets. I always get, new tips and strategies on how to look at things. Sometimes just perspective. Again, listen, I didn't know that you can do an anonymous. Listen, there's always so many things. What I got to do is I got to go back and listen to some of these over again. And I want to go back to Groundswell FM and listen to your show 2 podcasts ago to listen to her. And one of the things I've got to do.
The podcast that I just dropped. So probably top 5 growth marketers, growth hackers in the fucking world. Chris Moore. He's the guy over the last 9 years built Firefox, Mozilla. He's the growth manager for it over those years. Wow. And he was one of the keynote speakers at the Growth Hacking Summit, which is to get on that stage, you got to be Jedi level, right? He went up there and blew me away with his spreadsheet that he built on this is going to go over most people's heads, how to build cohorts to be able to predictively model growth models and know your attrition rate and to kind of figure out different ways that you can actually adjust growth. So we had this really in-depth. So if you want to listen to it, go listen to my podcast. But really important thing is that if you subscribe to my email, so this is a call to action, but didn't mean to do this, and you go to my podcast, I'm actually his like table, the table that he spent years building, he's fucking sharing it. So I'm like, I'm gonna put I have the Bitly link. I can just put it in here. Or if you just listen to my podcast, the show notes will be there, and the link will be there for you, and you can get this thing. So I'm gonna write an article about it. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll be able to see it. So don't worry, it's not gonna go anywhere. But he's offering. Basically, he's got the deck he did at Growth Hacking Summit and his spreadsheet. Like amazing. So that's an example of giving value.
Yeah.
To me, it's like I'm collaborating with him. He's giving value to my audience, only mine. He hasn't done any interviews on any podcast. I was so happy that he decided to do it. And that episode is like, people are going like, how do I grow? Like, go listen to that thing. But it'll go over most people's heads. It's definitely like you'll be like, stop, rewind, stop.
Well, no, I listen. That's the beauty of
deep end, right? So
that's the beauty of listening to those. And listen, with love, I'm going to throw you out of here because I know you've got to call in 1 minute. So, brother, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to close the show up with that. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to this coming week again. And I'll call you one day this week as well, just to catch up.
Okay, cool, dude.
Appreciate you, man. Take care. Be well.
Bye.
Ciao. All right, everybody. So as Scott takes off, I hope everybody enjoyed today's episode. Go to groundswell.fm and listen to this guy. He's got so many brilliant things to say, so much to share. And on his podcast, he brings on brilliant speakers as well, as you just heard. And I'm going to go back and listen to the last 2 or 3 podcasts as well, because I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. So go to check him out, groundswell.fm. And you can also follow him at tribe.eco on Instagram. Certainly with me, you can find me at Tony Rodriguez with an S, Tony Rodriguez 2.0 on Instagram. And of course, we're streaming to not just Facebook, but also to YouTube. So please share these shows with your friends and family if you get value from them. Thank you for participating. Thank you for being here live. Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for your comments and your questions. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, Sonia, Orlando, and everyone else that's watching live. I appreciate you guys. And remember, my friends, that just like in business, just like in marketing, just like in life, it is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. And knowing that it's when you fall down that you learn, it's in getting up that you grow. And every single time you fall, you have an opportunity to get up and grow. And grow we must. Appreciate you all, my friends. Have a beautiful night. See you tomorrow.